You have had a great plan before. You wrote it down. You were excited about it. You told yourself this time would be different. Then tomorrow came. Then next week. Then next month. And that plan stayed exactly where you left it with no action taken. If you have ever experienced that, you are not alone. But you need to understand this: a plan without action is not a plan, it is just a dream written down a little more neatly. Rule 1 says you must have a clear plan and clear goals. Rule 2 says that is not enough. The best plan in the world means nothing if you do not act on it. And action is not something you wait to feel ready for, because that feeling of readiness rarely comes the way you imagine it will. Action is something you begin first, and the feeling of readiness follows from that. Procrastination is the silent enemy of every plan. It does not arrive loudly. It does not announce itself. It comes very quietly. In forms that sound completely reasonable: I will start after I finish this, I need to prepare just a little more, today is not the best time. Let me wait until next week to be safe. Each of those sentences sounds logical. But together, they form an invisible wall standing between you and the life you actually want. Dr. Piers Steel at the University of Calgary, who spent more than 20 years researching procrastination, estimates that approximately 95% of people procrastinate to some degree, and around 25% consider it a chronic problem in their lives. This is not a small issue. And more importantly, he showed that procrastination is not a time management problem, it is an emotion management problem. When you procrastinate, you are not being lazy. You are avoiding an uncomfortable emotion: the fear of failure, the anxiety of not being good enough, the unease of stepping into uncertainty. And your brain is remarkably skilled at generating logical-sounding reasons to justify that avoidance. Neuroscience explains this very clearly. When you face a difficult or uncomfortable task, the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, triggers a stress response, similar to the fight-or-flight mechanism from prehistoric times. The brain interprets the task as a threat and immediately looks for an exit by redirecting attention towards something more pleasant: social media, entertainment, anything that delivers an immediate hit of dopamine. That instant relief is the reward the brain learns to repeat. And each time you repeat it, the procrastination loop becomes deeper and harder to break. But here is the crucial thing you need to know: action is the cure. Not motivation. Not inspiration. Not waiting until you feel ready. Action. Research by Professor Timothy Pychyl at Carleton University shows that once you begin a task, even just the first 2 minutes of it, the anxiety and avoidance drop significantly. The brain shifts from defensive mode into engagement mode. And once you are engaged, motivation naturally follows. This principle is known as psychological momentum. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. The hardest part is not maintaining action, it is taking the very first step. This is why Rule 2 must be to act now, not perfectly, not when ready, but now. Psychologist William James, one of the founding fathers of modern psychology, said something that remains true today. Action does not follow inspiration, inspiration follows action. You do not wait to feel like doing something before you do it. You do it first. And the desire to do it follows. This is the reversal that most people have never been taught, but it changes everything. There are 3 most common forms of procrastination that you need to be able to recognize in yourself. The first is perfectionist procrastination. This is when you delay because you want everything to be perfect before you begin. You do not start writing because you do not yet have a complete idea. You do not start the business because the plan is not detailed enough. You do not reach out to anyone because you do not know exactly what to say. Perfectionist procrastination disguises itself very cleverly. It looks like care and professionalism. But underneath, it is fear concealed behind high standards. The second form is overwhelmed procrastination. This is when the goal or task in front of you is so large that the brain does not know where to begin. So it chooses not to begin at all. You look at the entire project and become paralyzed by its scale. The solution is not to shrink your ambition, it is to shrink your first step. Not write the whole book, just write the first paragraph. Not complete the entire course, just watch the first lesson. Not build the whole business, just make the first call. The third form is comfort procrastination. This is the most dangerous and most widespread form in the age of screens and social media. You are not avoiding work because of fear or overwhelm, but simply because something more pleasant is immediately available: the next video, a new social media feed, a film you have been meaning to watch. The brain always chooses the immediate and certain reward over the delayed and uncertain one. That is a survival instinct. And technology companies have spent billions of dollars to exploit that instinct in order to capture your attention. So how do you break the procrastination loop? There are 5 tools validated by behavioral science that you can apply today. The first tool is David Allen's 2-minute rule. If an action takes less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately, without delay. This applies not only to small tasks, it is also a way to ignite larger ones. Commit to yourself that you will only work for 2 minutes. Most of the time, after 2 minutes you are already in flow and continue naturally. The brain has been pulled out of avoidance mode and into engagement mode. The second tool is the Pomodoro Technique. Divide your working time into focused 25-minute blocks followed by 5-minute breaks. This structure works because it makes the task time limited. Not I have to work on this all day, but I only need to focus for 25 minutes. The brain accepts that much more readily. And knowing that rest is coming in 25 minutes reduces the initial resistance significantly. The third tool is implementation intention-specific execution plans. Research by Professor Peter Gollwitzer at New York University shows that people who do not just say I will exercise but say specifically I will run at 6 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday and Friday at the park near my home have a follow-through rate up to 91% higher. When you place an action at a specific time and a specific location, you eliminate almost completely the need to make a decision in the moment, and that is exactly where procrastination typically enters. The fourth tool is making the right action easier. James Clear in Atomic Habits calls this reducing friction. If you want to exercise every morning, place your shoes and workout clothes beside your bed the night before. If you want to read, place the book you are reading on your desk in plain sight. If you want to eat well, prepare healthy food in advance and remove unhealthy snacks from your line of sight. Every step you remove between yourself and the right action is a step you increase the likelihood of taking it. The fifth tool is changing how you talk to yourself. Psychological research shows that people who say I don't do that rather than I can't do that are significantly more successful at resisting temptation and maintaining positive behavior. I can't implies an external limitation. You are a victim of circumstance. I don't asserts internal control. You are the decision maker. Similarly, instead of saying I have to do this, say I choose to do this because it moves me toward what I want. This small shift in language creates a large shift in psychology. There is an important concept that many people are not aware of: present bias. This is the natural tendency of the brain to overvalue immediate rewards and undervalue future rewards, even when the future reward is far larger. This is why you know that exercising is good for your health 20 years from now, but the brain still chooses the sofa tonight. Understanding present bias does not eliminate it, but it gives you the ability to recognize when it is driving your choices, and from there make more conscious decisions. One of the most effective techniques to counter it is to create immediate rewards for right actions. If your goal is to write every day, allow yourself to watch a favorite episode only after you have written your required word count. Nobel Prize-winning physicist Richard Feynman once said he could accomplish more in 4 hours of deep work each day than many people working 8 hours with constant interruptions. Cal Newport calls this deep work a state of uninterrupted focus on a cognitively demanding task, in which your mental capabilities are pushed to their limit and create value that could not be produced at a shallower level of concentration. Acting now does not mean acting hastily, it means not allowing time to pass without real progress. Accountability, being answerable to someone else, is especially important in fighting procrastination. When you commit to another person that you will complete something by a specific time, that positive social pressure creates a far stronger driving force than a promise to yourself. The human brain is particularly sensitive to the judgment of others. This is a social instinct programmed deep across millions of years of evolution. The difference between people who act and people who procrastinate is not that the people who act always feel highly motivated, it is that they have built systems and habits so that action happens even when motivation is low. Like brushing your teeth, you do not wait until you feel enthusiastic to brush your teeth. You brush your teeth because it is a habit. Because it is your system. That is exactly where you need to bring your most important actions, not into the zone of inspiration, but into the zone of habit. One final and highly effective tool is the Eat the Frog technique. Tracy popularized this concept. The frog is the most important and most difficult task of your day, the one you are most likely to procrastinate on. Do it first, right at the start of your working day, before anything else. Why? Because your willpower and mental energy are at their highest in the morning and decline throughout the day. This is the phenomenon known as ego depletion. If you leave the hardest task until the end of the day, you are facing it at the moment when your mental resources are at their lowest. That is a recipe for procrastination. So right now, not after you finish reading this, not after watching a few more productivity videos right now, identify one thing. One single thing that if you do it today will have been a good day in the direction you want to go. Not a list of 10 things. One thing. And commit that before you sleep tonight, that thing will be started. Not perfectly. Not completely. But started. Because starting is the most important victory you can win in the battle against procrastination. A plan without action is just an illusion. Imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction. Like and subscribe so you never miss the next rule. Comment below. What is the thing you have been procrastinating on the longest, and when will you start it?